Yeah, and how adapting plays his Thor is very new generation Thor or new meta Thor is picking up that Spirit Robe after the Jotun's Wrath, basically transitioning into a frontliner because Iraffer can't do it all. He's more of I'm baiting, and then we see adapting Roman and then really finish it off and continuing the front line, allowing Imolito and Demi to basically stay alive.
Exactly, and that's why Thor sort of does what he does. So we'll get into the picks and bans and see if Epsilon does follow that up. But so Thor, back in the day, used to be #1 pick as Giannis, clearly recognized by Paradigm, is banned out. But so Thor was a first pick, first ban material because games were really mid-game centric. They had a lot of power going on a lot earlier. Games were ending a lot earlier than we're seeing now. So Thor doesn't fall off, but his damage certainly, his focus changes from damage to control. So Thor, not this #1 pick, but Epsilon's adapting, really able to make it work because of what Kevin said. Able to find the right targets, able to deal what he wants to, and then change the itemization for the better. Picking up that Spirit Robe really allows him to find himself in a tanky situation. Well, the bans come out. We've got Bellona and Giannis on the side of Paradigm. Again, no surprise that Paradigm has banned out Giannis. They don't want to see any more of Yaman after that spectacular performance. And standard assassins being banned out by Epsilon, Serket and Ao Kwang on the side of Epsilon. So we'll take a look at Paradigm and see what happens with their first pick. Taking a little bit of time, and it's going to be Ymir. So again, we'll see the aggressive support coming out of Europe.
Yeah, no surprise to see this Ymir here. I mean, it's been a support that's been on the rise, and we've even seen North America start to pick it. Team Solo Mid in the finals, they basically took it away from Paradigm multiple times. In response, though, Sylvanus there, no surprise. They're going to save the rest of the picks. I mean, they could have waited on the Sylvanus, actually, until the second half of the first phase, but they elect to take it there.
I mean, going back to what you said about the Ymir, you know, Yannick actually said to me during the LAN, I've been practicing the Ymir match and match and match and match because we know that the Europeans enjoy playing it. So North America actually, Team Solo Mid actually changed that, knowing how potent Ymir is and prevalent in the European scene. Isis going to be the follow-up pick for Sylvanus, and this again, unlike Odin, but similar to Odin in the sense of objective control. That ring really helped out Epsilon last time around when it came to the Fire Giant and the Gold Fury. Expect the same effect out of the Circle of Protection.
Yeah, instant pickup by Lobster again. Grabbing that Agni, very strong against Isis. The main thing is, in lane, at least early on, you're able to stun out Wingust, which is the majority of the damage coming out from Isis, and a majority of the pressure coming out from her as well. Yeah,
able to stop so much of that. And Geb going to be picked up, so Paradigm will most likely be giving Ymir to Cuvo Fred in the jungle.
Yeah, and Jungle Ymir is very potent, and it still continues to be strong. I mean, it just puts off so much pressure, which is going to be good, right? You don't want to have to just face an Isis putting on pressure on you. You're going to be able to put out your own pressure early on. A lot of freeze and a lot of damage coming out from Frostbite as well. In response, though, Epsilon grabs Neith once again, so they're going to have a lot of strength in that duo lane.
It worked out well, and Emilito has historically been playing Neith very, very well, not just last game. So this is a good pick for not just him, but his team as well. Freya being banned out by Epsilon again. It's a powerful god, but again, showing respect to specifically Funball on Paradigm. And the new Wa. The new Wa gave Zelia so much trouble in that solo lane that she will be the third ban from Paradigm.
Wow. Like, I'm actually surprised that we're going to see that respected so much coming out. Zelia respects Demi's new wall that much that we're going to see it banned out. In response, though, Epsilon's going to be grabbing Fenrir, who has really risen in the ranks and become a top pick for all of Smite, not just Europe, but North America and Europe. Been playing this god. It puts out a lot of pressure, especially in conjunction with Isis here. It's going to be hard for Paradigm to get rolling.
So the Osiris picked up one more time, and I'm going to pick your brain here, Kevin. I don't really think it worked out well last time around, or at least not to the fullest extent of the god. Now, I like when players try again, but what is Paradigm looking for with the Osiris? Is he offensive, because we saw the chin size right after Boots, or is he a defensive character?
I mean, it's a combination. I think a lot of Osiris's tankiness, it just comes from his kit, right?
Right.
His passive, as he auto attacks, he loses his arms and legs, and you start to see his ghostly figure. But that's also damage reduction on top of that, comboed up, as well as the tether. When that's pop, it's going to be reducing the damage of those players around him. So that's why you can transition into damage items and still be relatively tanky, even compared to other warriors that early on.
What I do like about the Osiris in this composition is Poseidon is picked up. This time around, there is a healer to really shut down. You can jump onto the Isis on the Circle of Protection and Judgment Tether. That's going to absorb a lot of that damage that she's able to put out, a lot of the damage that you're taking in, and Isis won't actually heal up off of it. Lord of the Afterlife prevents healing, so that Isis has to really watch out when we see rotations out of Xaylia. Yaman, not Giannis this time, he will be playing the Isis in that mid lane. Watch out for that early push, and the solo lane will be Ninja Dimmy on the Poseidon.
What? I'm sorry, what? Is that a Soul Stone? On... okay, this is something I haven't seen. I don't know if it's been being played often.
Now think about it.
Or since the finals. No, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I haven't really seen this. Soulstone picked up on a support Sylvanus. I mean, Sylvanus is going to be using his auto attacks.
Right.
And he's going to be able to heal up fine, so he doesn't really need to.
He's got the mana.
Okay.
And what happens is that heal will be more powerful with the additional stacks of the Soul Stone. The extra magical damage when you have the 5 stacks of the Soul Stone will actually be really powerful, not just in sustain, but also in a little bit of poke. And of course, this is Irafer. He literally tried to play Thanatos support early on.
No, he did play Thanatos support. They actually lost qualification into the spring split because he played Thanatos support, and I'm holding true to that. I don't care if it was another reason that he says. He played Thanatos support in the spring qualifiers, and they didn't get in.
Well, the history there, folks, is that Raffer was a jungler first for Mortality before making the transition into support, where he essentially created this roster that's been rather successful. So you see some of those glimpses of his jungle past. Sometimes he'll bring out more aggressive. We just saw the Odin and the Soul Stone on this Sylvanus. He wants to make an impact in these fights. That's what Raffer looks to do.
Yeah, we also see Purple Pot picked up for Lobster as well. Not something we see too often. Agni already really has the clear. I'm assuming it's just to combat the damage that Isis is going to be putting out early. And we can already see this Neith and Sylvanus lane putting the pressure onto Paradigm. I mean, they just don't have the push to respond to this, and with Iraffer being able to heal up Emilito, and actually, he's actually already rotated to these mid camps too.
Yeah, Raffer's going to be a little bit more positive. You can leave Neith alone because of that unravel. It allows her to just sustain herself, 2v1 even. You can leave her alone a little bit more so, and it's interesting. Emilito is pushing up against the duo lane.
I mean, he's able to full clear this wave, whereas Apollo and Geb are going to have a little bit of trouble. It's no surprise to really see, even 2v1, Neith's clear was not affected when all the hunters really had their clear nerf, whereas Apollo was affected, and Geb doesn't really have a strong amount of push to begin with. So they're just going to be able to outpush 1 versus 2 pretty easily.
Neith, not with the purple buff. Purple buff looks like it went to our support player, Raffer.
Yes.
It certainly was standard back when Sylvanus had the knockback. Now, it doesn't seem to be standard, but it's no surprise to see it on an AoE basic attack.
I mean, also you have to think, right, he has that Soul Stone as well. He's going to be wanting to get those procs off more often. That extra attack speed, attack speed going to be able to help there. In the Soul lane, though, we do have Dimmy picking up this Poseidon to match up against Xaylia. And Poseidon solo is something that's always been around. Maybe not at the top levels of competitive play, but it's always been a fun ranked thing, something we've seen in Challenger Cup plays, but not too often do we see it played at the highest level. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to work out for him. And Xaylia actually going to take a lot of damage, but he wasn't in the center, so he didn't get the full effect of that crack in there. Dimmy definitely looking for first blood. Right, and
now this seems a little curious for me to say as soon as we just saw that play, but you never say no to a Kraken in the middle of a fight. So having a Poseidon in the solo lane, definitely not a bad thing. And for what it's worth, Dimmy has historically played Poseidon. I like his Poseidon play. He's really rather good with those Krakens that time around. I think it was just an offensive play. It'll be up again. He's not expecting a team fight because he's not mid lane Poseidon. You can sort of you can be a little more trigger happy in that solo lane.
And I want to talk about that ult again. Even if he didn't kill Xaylia, because he probably wasn't in kill range exactly, at the very least he forces Xaylia back and either forces him to get teleport early or just gets a lot of extra farm early on so he can keep up that pressure.
Trickstank narrowly dodging the pull from his opponent, but in the mid lane,
combo.
dog comboed into the ultimate from Isis and Neith. Frozen out, but not enough. Adapting gets the first blood. Epsilon up 1-0.
Yeah, no fear from adapting though. Even at such a low health, he's going to jump in back onto Lobster, who he knows has no bombs. And it's a lot of times it's hard to telegraph, but if you take a look at the halo around Agni's head, this is so hard in game. But I know adapting's that level of player to do that. You can actually see the number of meteors that he has on his halo.
Blink in from Raffer in the dual lane. Pull out to Trickstank. This time will hit. The root is good. That rollout's going nowhere. But it lasts just short enough for the Geb to get out of there. No problem. Paradigm's still alive in the long
I don't even think Emilito knew that Raffer was going to hit that because he's still sitting there attacking. He's like, oh, you actually hit that. Okay. But a huge amount of damage coming out. Trickstank forced it back early.
Mid lane, mid camps on the left-hand side. Kivo's battling them by himself, but with Epsilon paying attention to Agni, those should go down. A bomb! They're able to share it as well. So Lobster and Kivo clearly on the same page. Right-hand side, Dimmy will be backing. Notice he picked up the sprint.
Yeah, that's gonna... He just wants the sprint too, because that's when you start to get slow immunity. He's likely going to put this into a heavenly agility.
Right.
I mean, he has the healing on his team as well that he wants to enhance, so there's no reason to go anything else.
And what it allows him to do, it just gets him out of the Judgment Tether. Judgment Tether is only a stun if you're stuck in the circle when the duration is over. So by using that sprint, he's able to really get out of harm's way. Meanwhile, though, Dimmy backs and Paradigm makes him pay. The invade from Cubo and Xaylia into the enemy blue buff is good, so Poseidon will not have the blue buff for this next couple of minutes.
He's really not going to need the blue buff to be able to sustain in this solo lane. His wave clear is already strong enough. I mean, Whirlpool's almost going to be full clearing if that's what he's leveling up, which I imagine it is.
Right. In the traditional sense, Poseidon's played in the mid lane without a blue buff anyway.
Yeah.
So, of course, you're going to take it, but you're not going to ruin your life as you would a Vamana without a blue buff.
Oh, Vamana without a blue buff. Don't even make me imagine. Yeah, that's going to give Xaylia just a slight gold lead. 150, nothing big, but it's always good to have even those slight leads in the solo lane.
Yeah, it's all about that 1v1. Here in the 2v2, though.
I love when Emilito does this. He's just doing it so it's not going to be telegraphed when they actually want to use that World Weaver to gank across the map. So anytime that he's doesn't need to clear minions and he's not fighting anyone, he's just going to hold down his ult. Because the next time that he does it, he's actually going to be ganking someone or sending that ult somewhere else to get someone ganked, and they're not going to... Paradigm's not going to know about it.
So intelligent. Love the next level thinking coming out from the Hunter for Epsilon. Paradigm.
There's actually a gank in right. We actually did see that Whirl Weaver go.
There it is.
There, we're going to see adapting, pull Xaylia out from under the tower, and that's going to be a kill from him. And Melito actually able to take out Funballer in the dual lane as well. Trickstank, though, going to try and find a return kill with Ymir here.
Cuvo's here looking for the freeze. Not quite enough. Not brave enough to walk through that whirlpool, and probably the intelligent decision. Now, what happened over there in the dual lane was Paradigm was able to capitalize off of Emilito being standing still for that ultimate delivery and just went right on in.
Yeah, I mean, Iraffer there, he was able to come and help out Emilito and finish off Funballer before before he could get anything going. And now we're going to see Epsilon not only start up this Gold Fury, but it's almost dead. And, you know, Lobster's going to be here trying to do something, but he's not able to make it in time. And Epsilon, they find 2 kills across the map and the Gold Fury in the center of it.
Cuvo's going to miss the wall, which allows Isis to get out of there no problem. And everyone on Epsilon is looking clean. This is a good look. 3 kills to none. About 2,000 gold on the side of Epsilon. Paradigm still struggling to find their footing. They dropped the first game in this 2-game set. And the second one, well, it's not starting in their favor.
No, and taking a look here, I'm gonna go back to Emilito's build here. Once again, he's going that Soul Eater, and I was actually wondering if he would elect to go to it, because he doesn't have a warrior support anyone. And the only other player getting a benefit off of this is Adapting, who he's not really fighting with too much, or fighting as a team with too much early on, but he's still electing to go Soul Eater. He thinks it's definitely more powerful than Aussie or Devo Gloves.
Well, the Soul Eater versus the Devo Gloves comparison is similar to why we see a lot of Pythagorum's pieces picked up in my mind versus the old Bancrofts. You're losing, like I said, 20 power. You're losing a small amount of power, but what you're gaining is so much more. You're gaining all this HP as well as the lifesteal. So it works out in that regard. So what you're losing a little bit in offensive, you're gaining in utility, just like Pythags versus Bancroft.
Yeah, and I think a big thing too is that 300 health.
Yes.
Just the flat 300 health is so useful for a hunter who almost has never. Hunters really don't get any items with health ever. They have never. It's never been DPS efficient, and it's probably still not DPS efficient with Soul Eater.
No, you lose DPS,
Yeah.
but not enough to warrant.
Yes. So the 300 health is definitely something, especially when you're outboxing, and especially when you have Neith, who's going to be able to heal up a lot. I think that's a great trade out for him.
Cubo Fred going to make his way into the mid lane. First, going to take down a ward. We see so many more sentry wards purchased now. Of course, one of the most recent changes in the combo breaker patch was that you can only have 2 wards on you on the, or you can only have 2 wards on the map.
Yes, as a player. So as a team, you get 10.
Right. But that's only if everybody wards.
Yeah, and not everyone's warding.
Shouts to Boosh.
Shoutouts to Boosh. He places like 20 wards every 20 games. It's disgusting.
In this game, though, we do see a couple of zeros. Xaylia with none, and along with the Fenrir and the Neith on the side of Epsilon. So a lot of the heavy lifting as far as the vision is concerned has been from the supports and the mid laner.
Yeah, another combo, though, and we will see Geb fall. I mean, Geb doesn't have beads, and Adapting's just going to be able to continually abuse that. Funballer and Emilito, they're going to duel it out there, but Cubo Fred's going to come in.
Beads is good. Emilito backflips, but she's caught into the Ymir ultimate. Here comes support from Iraffer. Root is good onto Cubo Fred. Cubo Fred, not too tanky, only level 2 Iron Mail, and here comes the cavalry. Epsilon has members deep, but they're not going to dive.
Yeah, they didn't want to risk it. Adapting, he's half-life.
They're too low, yeah.
Yeah, just not something he wants to risk. He'd likely have to dive under tower and just not enough health to warrant that.
I almost expected it the way Adapting's been playing. You heard it in my voice. Adapting's been so aggressive, so eager to grab these kills. That time around plays a little bit safe because, again, when you have the lead, these leads are so small, they're so fleeting. You don't want to drop it in a play like that.
Yeah, I mean, Adapting's sitting at 6,200 gold 10 minutes in. He's 3-0-0.
Yes.
He skyrockets above anyone else. He's almost got a 800 gold lead on Cubo already.
And so the 3-0-0 is what I was looking at. His death would have been much more valuable than the death of the Cubo Fred's Ymir. So playing it safe, risk versus reward, as always, is the name of the game here, and Epsilon plays it safe.
Lobster, he might try and catch Yaman out, but really no other follow-up damage. Trix tank is there, but, I mean, Geb's just not putting out as much damage as Iraffer is early on.
Of course. He doesn't have a Soulstone.
He doesn't have a Soul Stone.
Geb, also a relatively low damage Guardian for what it's worth.
Yeah, until he gets level 20, because his ult is percentage damage. I mean, Cataclysm,
right.
Not only is it a huge AoE stun, but it's also that percentage damage, which early on is significantly low and being mitigated by a lot of protections. But here we go. Iraffer's going to blink in. They're going to go on Funball, and actually already we see Cubo Fred.
Got him. That time around, Adapting. No problem with diving. Coach, I've got all my health. I'm in. Jumps over the wall, takes him out. Leading the player damage, though, Neith with the 5,400, nearly doubling everyone else's damage. Agni close behind with 3,000, and that's really not that close behind.
No, but we've seen Emilito constantly dueling with Funballer. He's been putting out the poke, and he's been able to heal most of it up, so it's no surprise to really see him. When we see...
But he's doubling the Funball's damage. That's the surprise.
Yeah, and I mean that you see Funball 0-2-0. He's not been able to. He's been fighting it, but losing in response.
Xaylia taking a look at his opponent's blue buff, able to chase Dimmy off of it. Blue buff will ultimately go to Xaylia.
Yeah, he's been abusing this solo lane for quite some time. He's having, it looks like, a much better time than he did against the Nuwa, who is probably able to play a little bit safer. But Xaylia, he's been controlling this lane, but he hasn't really been able to get a huge lead on it. He's actually behind 200 gold. Not
building defensively either. I'm surprised that Timmy just didn't go all in. Whirlpool Kraken.
I mean, he probably doesn't have the burst, right? I mean,
it wouldn't have killed Xaylia from 100 to 0, but it might have deterred him, made him walk away, etc. So Dimmy letting the blue buff go, but again, risk versus reward. Poseidon, we discussed, doesn't really need that blue buff. Might not be worth it in the long run.
Nope. Group up by both teams in the middle here. Something we've seen quite often in the new meta is with the supports and junglers kind of basically roaming together, we're seeing a lot of share in the mid lane and a lot of people just looking to pick players who are getting out of position coming into the lanes as well.
Yeah, you see a lot of this grouping and the sharing of the waves just because there's so much jungle to get. You want to share that as well. So you wind up coalescing in the mid lane. And as you said, on those rotations right here where Lobster's walking right by the mid camps, you're apt to just be snatched up, especially when there's a Fenrir in the game.
Yep. I want to talk about this Demi Poseidon again, though.
Sure.
And last game, we saw him sit in his lane for about 15 minutes, and it's been about the same amount this time. And he's already gone Gem of Isolation. Now, this is typically an item that we'll see picked up by Poseidon, but later on, especially in the soul lane, normally players like to stack, but he's going to utilize this in team fights sooner rather than later. It's going to hurt his damage compared to like a Book of Thoth, but he's going to be doing so much more by slowing or double slowing players basically with Whirlpool.
And that's one of the cool things, one of the differences of the mid versus the solo lane is Epsilon groups up by the mid. Harpies? Not quite going for gold, but they'll look at Cubo Fred. He's all alone. Lobster dashes down. Cubo Fred, not quite stunned, but it doesn't matter. Adapting gets the kill. Fun ball from the sky, adapting in the back line, very, very low. Raffer picks up Lobster. No Baba Yetu, but Zelia's rotation is good. Adapting will fall. Fun ball still half HP. Ice is pushing out tricks. Epsilon looks very strong. Paradigm loses 3 in that engagement.
Yeah, they're going to lose the Gold Fury as well as basically all of Epsilon is still fresh. It's a 1,700 gold lead right now. It's about to be a 3,000 gold lead once this Gold Fury goes down. And Adapting is just able to dive Paradigm's backline uncontested. First off, he goes in and he picks up Cubo Fred and he finishes him off. And then once Lobster comes back into the fight, he pops that Brutalize and there's nothing he can do about it.
He's playing the same game that he did last time, Kevin. Thor or Fenrir, it doesn't matter. He's jumping to the back line, getting the stuns, and then going directly to the damage in the back line. He's never focused in the center. He's always focused on those squishies.
And he's already picking up that Spirit Robe once again, so Adapting continuing. Yeah, he loves these gods that not only do they have a high amount of base damage early on with Brutalize, with Berserker's Barrage, but they also transfer very well into CC bots, basically. A lot of stun, a lot of able to peel, and then he can build Spirit's Robe and then just be tanky.
And he can hand off the game to Demi and Emilito. And what I was getting into with Demi's Poseidon, in the mid lane, you're expected to be a burst mage for the most part, right? Isis and Giannis can sort of play around with that, but to be fair, they still deal damage when they're built into utility. Demi in that solo lane, you usually see utility coming out of this, whether it's Wukong's or Osiris's, etc. So Demi can afford to throw out that Gem of Isolation earlier on and make that team fight impact, which is really what you're looking for out of your solo laner. I always call the solo laner the Swiss Army knife of the team.
Just someone who's going to fit into the team comp and bring whatever you want, basically.
Right. Sometimes you want that tower kill in Bakasura. On the other hand, sometimes you want that control-oriented Hercules.
Oh, they just baited Lobster's dash there. Beads are going to be forced, but with his dash down, Brutalize is going to finish him off, and Adapting continuing to put so much aggression across the map, sitting at 6-1 and 2. He's literally 66% of Epsilon's kills right now.
Smart play right there. Knew that Adapting waited where Lobster's dash was going to end. Jumped right on him.
Yep.
Loved how the 1-2 punch coming out of Epsilon. We saw some teams with new rosters earlier on in the game learning how to gel and work together. This is the result of that time together. This is the result of a whole Challenger Cup summer split together as a unit. Epsilon here in the fall split coming out to play.
Yep. Group up in the mid, though, by Epsilon. 3 there. Cubo Fred, he's going to actually just walk in a lane. This could be dangerous, but...
Freeze! Raffer should be fine, unless he gets walled off in the wrong spot, but even still, not a lot of...
It's Cubo. I mean, it's the Ymir gap at 17 minutes. Maybe at 3 minutes they could do the damage, but at 17 minutes, they're not going to have any damage, especially when we have Mystical Male picked up on the Ymir. He's just not putting out any damage numbers.
Right, and one of the interesting things I like is Funball getting aggressed on real hard. Emilito taking a look at him. He will have his ult. Body block is better. Tricks tank.
He's still tanking this.
Yeah, he's fine. Unravel's good. Look how early Raffer traded in that Soulstone.
Yeah, he's already sold it.
The Soulstone helps him out in the early game, but the numbers don't translate as the game goes on. And what it allows to do, it allows him to jumpstart his 2 aura items earlier on.
Cubo Fred here, he's going to get caught off there. I mean, there's nowhere for him to go. He's charging up his ult, but he's also charging up Isis ult as well, and he's going to take the repercussions.
And with that, Epsilon going into not just the jungle, but the front yard, taking the back Harpies right here away from Paradigm. Funball and Lobster trying to stop. And as you see, those birds did not get charred to a crisp, so those were not Paradigms. Epsilon takes out not just the red buff, but also the back Harps.
Yeah, Demi putting the pressure on the Soul Lane as well. His ult is available. Zalia could be in a little bit of trouble. He's got a little bit of magical protection, but I don't think it's going to be enough if Demi can hit a, like, in the middle Kraken.
Epsilon, speaking of the middle, takes down the mid tower right here with help from Isis, Fenrir, and Sylvanus. And, you know, one of the things I was talking to DM Brandon earlier before this match, Kevin, and Ninja Demi has made he's shown up so much in the past, and I admittedly haven't really I don't want to say not noticed, but I don't think I gave the guy the spotlight that he deserves. And right here, this is what good players do. They force you to give them the spotlight. And Demi is playing out of his mind, not just in Game 1, but also Game 2 on an odd Poseidon pick in that solo lane.
Yeah, I mean, Hindu Man's been singing this guy's praises forever, and he's a kid, actually. I actually met him at Gamescom. He's short, but no, Demi's an awesome kid, and he did so well during the summer split, and what iRaffer did, and he stated it publicly, is he didn't pick up the best players that have played on teams. He picked up the best mechanical players that he could find, and then he's going to teach them how to play the game. They had an entire split to learn, and I think they're showcasing this now. They took Game 1 off of Paradigm, the best European team, basically, at the end of the summer split, and now they're looking real good to take Game 2 as well.
That's why I get so excited about teams that come out of the Challengers Cup, Adonis, because you look at the 2 teams that came out of the Challenger Cup that still exist in the Pro League, Titan and Epsilon. And these teams are some of the most cohesive, like they're just gelled so well together. Right-hand side, Zalia getting aggressed on by 3, 4, not enough.
No, we're just going to see a group up, but
but that time in the Challenger Cup really allows these teams to build up these learn the ropes without being thrown right to the dogs in the Pro League.
Speaking of dogs, adapting, he's going to jump right in. He's going to get frozen out in response, but you can see that Spirit Row popped. He's not taking too much damage there.
Beads also used, so that active will be down only for 80 more seconds. Great pull onto Zalia into the Whirlpool. That's that Gem of Isolation, folks.
Trixtank just battling against the tide, trying to get out of that Whirlpool there. And Epsilon, they're just going to take the Tier 1 tower on right.
Great response.
In response, yeah, Paradigm grouped up. They're going to take this uncontested, no one even on the map. But Zalia, he's likely to fall here. Spirit Bomb's going to be good. And now actually we see Trixtank turned on as well. That's going to be 2 kills in response. And are they going to Fire Giant?
They thought of it. So I loved, this is the insight into the player's mind. Everyone knew to go to Fire Giant, but the call was for the tower first. But the instincts of watching everyone go to Fire Giant is exciting. The reason they're deciding against the Fire Giant, you can take the Phoenix right now.
No, I mean, what they did is they saw Paradigm pushing up mid, and they knew they could get this Phoenix before the enemy team could even get Tier 2.
Yep. Cubo Fred gonna jump in and ult. That's not gonna do a lot. 25% off of everybody. That freeze is huge! Cubo Fred drops the carpet and gets the kill onto adapting. The Phoenix will fall.
I mean, that's a huge win for Epsilon. Not only do they just only lose a Tier 1 tower, but they get 2 towers on the right lane and the Phoenix. There's gonna be fire minions pressuring into there in just about a minute.
Oh man, 4-man freeze. Those are so exciting. Funball's in the air. He'll land onto iRaffer.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to... They want to fight, but they don't want to full commit. Epsilon staying together. And actually, Trixtank, he's actually going to get popped out of his rollout there with that cripple on the Whirlpool.
Paradigm
they need to be careful.
They want to be present, and Trixtank wants to fight. Ultimate used onto Raffer. Raffer very low. There's that Whirlpool. It's so incredibly... It's so good at zoning. You can't walk into it.
Yeah, Epsilon, they're not going to back. They're just going to heal up with iRaffer, and they're going to wait for adapting to spawn again. And he's up in about 3 more seconds, and the goal is to not let Paradigm get Fire Giant right now.
Right. Paradigm's going to start it, and Zalia will do the zoning by himself on the back end. The vision is on the side of Paradigm. Fire Giant still very high, 90%. Funball tanking it He's very low. He's going to be pushed down to about 50%, and that's going to force Funball out. And
yeah, that's not
back.
good. Actually, Demi's going to crack it over the wall. They had no vision on there. Adapting, he's going to try and catch someone before they can get back, and they're going to turn on Xaylia. Xaylia's ult is up, so he's going to have a little bit to get away, but it may not be enough.
Nah, he'll be okay, but Adapting will follow right over the wall. Adapting and Osiris off screen to your left-hand side. Cubo Fred using the ult to put out damage on your right. Right now we're flying around with Paradigm. Xaylia wants to do something, but Demi says no. The Whirlpool doesn't allow anyone to pass. And Demi gets another kill. 205 on the solo laner for Epsilon.
Every single member of Paradigm just backed. This is going to be an uncontested Fire Giant for Epsilon. They're leading 14-2 in kills. They're leading about 6,000 gold, and now they're going to have the Fire Giant and the Phoenix on right side down.
Emilito getting very low. Doesn't die to the Fire Giant. This is easy back. Adapting will pick up the enemy jungle buff as well. Just scratching experience and gold off of the map. Epsilon 7,000 gold up. Ninja Demi with 2,300 gold in his hand. Really just waiting to buy a new item.
Yeah, this is going to be Tahuti. Actually, he may need a little bit more here. No, he's going to be able to sell. Yeah, he's going to be able to sell his
there it is.
starter item and pick up Tahuti. That's a ton of damage coming out from him. He's probably sitting at about 350 to 400 magical power right now. It's going to be hard for him, or hard for anyone to survive that Kraken Burst now.
And that spear. The spear, again, we talk about how hard it is to get out of that upgraded Whirlpool coupled with the Gem of Isolation. Almost a Gem of Poseidon.
Might as well be the Gem of Poseidon.
The spear. Now it's impossible to escape those ticks. You will have your magic protection shredded.
Yeah, and taking a look here, Isis elected not to go Spear the Magus, which is typically an item that's very good on her, but because they have it picked up on the Poseidon, they don't have to worry about it too much.
Yeah, and it allows her to pick up the Obsidian Shard, which it's all about math versus practicality. Yes, Spear of Isolation will wind up doing more damage almost all of the time, unless in very extreme circumstances, than Obsidian Shard. But when you already have one, you can just look for the pop of the Obsidian Shard, which is what that's going to give you. On-demand, right-now penetration. So Isis able to pick that up because of the item Spear picked up by her solo laner.
Epsilon here, they're going to group up. They already took down the right Phoenix, but it's going to be spawning here in a couple more seconds, and it's going to be weakened. So when a Phoenix does respawn, it comes back to life at about 50% life, so it's going to be a lot easier to take down. They just want to make sure to take down that weakened Phoenix and continue the Fire Minion pressure onto that right lane.
And again, Xaylia dragging the Fire Minions away from the Phoenix, fighting them off of it, which is really good. But here comes Raffer, knock him into the pull. No one's looking at Xaylia. Everybody on Epsilon looking otherwise. Demi in the backline getting aggressed onto Funball. Takedown by Adapting, saving the life of Ninja Demi by a hair. Beautiful jump by the dog, and that's going to get a double kill for Adapting. Xaylia very low. Adapting, following suit, jumps on top. That's 3 for the dog.
Give it to him.
Give it to him. He wants 4. Over the wall. Adapting.
They're actually... Oh, Rapper! Oh, Demi took out Geb, though. All right, that's that. I mean, 5 dead, though, coming out.
That's
Epsilon.
game.
Yeah, that's going to be game, and IRAF are going to have a little BM fun in the fountain in response.
No surprise.
Epsilon start off their fall split with a very, very strong showing.
Yeah, if anybody had doubts about Epsilon because they didn't make it to LAN last time around, they come out and they beat who essentially are the #1 team in Europe right now. They made it so far. Paradigm, of course, made it so far in the summer finals to the actual finals, and Epsilon says, very nice. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, and really, it was the Adapting show there, and Fenrir is just so strong. We're going to take a look here at First Blood in a second, and just Adapting has been so strong. He was able to pick up this First Blood on Cubo Fred, and we actually saw the Wombo combo. The Neith ult comes through. He drops him in the middle of Isisol, and even though Cubo's able to survive for a little bit, there's just way too much damage there.
Yeah, Ymir not exactly the slippery character of Serket or other assassins. So just stuck in the mud a little bit there. Right now, it was a very exciting game. We'll take a look at all 5 top performers as presented by Alpha Draft.
Yeah, IRAF are up there. IRAF are up there, IRAF are up there, IRAF are up there, and then oh no, IRAF are changed to Demi. You good? No, Adapting.
I'm being told that I had to come back.
Adapting, though, clearly the top performer. Finishes, I think, like either 9 or 10 kills. I think he picked up his 10th kill with that triple at the end there.
Yeah, it looked fantastic.
And then I think he really thought he was going to have the penta too because he missed brutalize on a Ymir, who is not a target that's very small, and then he misses his jump, and then really
but
we actually see
got it with the wisp.
Yeah, Raffer finishes it with the wisp.
Almost
a
in all, it's a team game, though. So they get 5 kills, the DSI drops. And, I mean, realistically, let's reflect on some of these games. So Justice came out and really played, because this is the end of Europe. We still have 2 North American matches coming up for you. So Justice looked very strong. They've got new management, new organization behind them, a couple of new players, but ultimately do fall. And this time around, we see fantastic stuff coming out from these 2 teams. And we're joined by not just our player of the game, but apparently our Alpha Draft top player, Raffer. How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm awesome.
Yeah, I bet you are after that last game. It's been a while since we last spoke. I think we have spoken in between your go at commentating the Challenger Cup, but you've made a lot of strides. You're here in the Pro League, and you're making a statement. Not how does it feel, but how do you want the other teams to feel now that Epsilon is rising to the top?
Raffer, you there?
I was struggling then.
Okay.
My push-to-talk changed. But yeah, I think the other teams have definitely got to be scared looking at them fantasy points. I mean, 5 Raffers on one team, that's pretty OP, right?
I mean, pretty much that was your intention from the start.
You gonna have someone banned every week, Raffer?
Yeah, if I get banned this split, then we're pretty messed up.
No, but for real though, I actually pegged you as a team that I thought was going to make it to LAN over some of the other teams in the summer split, but unfortunately you missed 2 of the weeks, but now you're coming back and you end up beating Paradigm here. How does it, I'm going to do it, how does it feel to basically make the statement that you are, if not one of, the best team in Europe?
I mean, it's definitely the right mentality to go into the split, right? You beat definitely one of the top 3 teams, 2-0. I mean, we're only going to face them once more this split, but we're definitely looking forward to facing the top tier teams. We can beat everyone. We just need to make sure all the lads are up to it. I mean, Yamin, he played so good. It was unreal to watch that, especially his Odin feeding away. It was perfect.
I like to see that little dose of reality, and I'm going to give you another dose. You guys looked fantastic, but it's just the first game. This is a really long split, especially compared to Challenger Cup and last summer split. So many more games. What's you guys' game plan to keep this up for the entirety of fall, pushing into this Might World Championship?
Only half of that message came through, but I heard something about game plan. It's going to change throughout the split. You know, we want to spice it up. We've got a few drafts ready.
Okay,
nice.
I'm excited to hear
want
that.
we want to finish top 2. You know, 2nd seed at least.
Awesome. Really exciting to hear. Now, Kevin, did you have any more questions for Raffer?
I think that's going to be it from me.
Awesome. So, Raffer, before we let you go, we've got your socials up on the screen. Do you want to give a shout out to anybody at home?
I can't believe there's no questions about my soulstone, dude.
I was going to, but
there.
Okay, what is it? What's the soulstone? I wanted to ask it, but I was told to wrap it up. What was with the soulstone?
You didn't ask. It's too late now.
No, Raffer, what?
It's going to remain a secret.
What is the soulstone? Raffer!
You're gonna have to watch my stream, bro. I'll explain it on there.
That works.
It's a good way to promote itself, right?
Twitch.tv/iRaffer if you want to know the secret behind the Soulstone. Thank you, Raffer, for joining us. That, of course, is the captain and support of Epsilon Esports, the guys that just took over 2-0. That's going to wrap up our coverage of the European matches. Stay tuned, though. We've got a lot of North American action coming at you soon.
I just wanted to hear about the soulstone.
No.
Why did they tell me to cut it off?
I love you. I hate you. I love you.
I hate you.
I love you. Hate you. Love you. Love you. Love you. Hate you. Love you. Hate you. Love you. Hate. 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 Love you. If you leave, I will. Better yet, I will kill you. Kill you. Kill you.